was smearing the city into a watercolor nightmare. But that wasn't what was making my blood run cold. It was the rearview mirror. I'd been staring at it for 5 minutes, trying to make sense of what I was seeing, or rather, what I wasn't seeing. The back seat, my own pale face, the blurry streetlights behind us. They were all there, reflected perfectly, but the driver's seat was empty in the reflection. I could see the man right in front of me, his greasy gray hair, the worn collar of his leather jacket, his hands, pale and veined, were gripping the steering wheel. But in the mirror, there was just an empty seat. My heart started hammering against my ribs. It has to be the angle, I told myself, a weird trick of the light and the rain. I shifted in my seat, leaning slightly to the left, pretending to adjust my backpack. The reflection changed, but the driver's seat remained unnervingly vacant. He hadn't said a word since I'd gotten in, just a guttural grunt. When I gave him the address, the car smelled of stale cigarettes and something else, something like damp soil. The silence was a physical weight. The rhythmic slap of the windshield wipers was the only sound. Slap, slap, slap. Each one felt like a countdown. I pulled out my phone, my fingers trembling. I needed to call someone, my friend, my mom, anyone. No signal. Of course, I looked up again, just as the driver took a sharp right turn. This wasn't the way to my apartment. Excuse me, I said, my voice barely a whisper. This isn't the right way. He didn't respond. He just kept driving, turning down a street that was even darker, lined with skeletal trees and derelict buildings. The city lights were gone now. We were alone. The air in the car grew frigid. I could see my breath misting in front of me. Where are you taking me? I demanded, my voice cracking with fear. That's when he finally spoke. His voice was a dry, rasping sound, like dead leaves scraping across pavement. Long night at the library, Leah. Ice flooded my veins. I had never told him my name. I had never told him where I was coming from. I scrambled for the door handle, my mind screaming. Locked. The car began to slow, pulling up to a pair of rusted, imposing gates. A cemetery. He was taking me to a cemetery. The engine died, plunging us into an almost absolute silence, broken only by the drumming of the rain on the roof. He turned his head slowly, so slowly, not all the way, just enough for me to see his profile in the gloom. There was nothing there, no eye, no nose, no mouth, just a smooth, horrifyingly blank expanse of skin, like a mannequin's head. I screamed, a raw, ragged sound torn from my throat. I threw my body against the window, banging on the glass with my fists. I didn't care about the lock anymore. I just needed out. The blank face turned fully towards me. In the rearview mirror, the reflection was still just an empty seat, as if I was alone in the car, as if the thing in front of me wasn't real. With a surge of pure adrenaline, I kicked the door with all my might. The old lock groaned and then snapped. The door flew open, and I tumbled out onto the wet asphalt, scraping my hands and knees. I didn't look back. I just ran. I ran through the cemetery gates, past tilting headstones that looked like grasping hands in the dark. I ran until my lungs burned and my legs felt like lead. When I finally dared to glance over my shoulder, the road was empty. The taxi was gone. It had vanished, as if it had never been there at all. I never took a taxi again. Sometimes, when it rains at night, I look into the reflections in dark windows, and I pray I don't see an empty seat where a driver should be. I look into the reflection in dark window, and I pray I don't see an empty seat where a driver drivers.